I paid off her student loans, helped raise her son, and worked 2 jobs to keep us afloat. One night I came home early from my shift and found her whispering, "He's so much more of a man than my husband." He was in my shirt, holding my son. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You were just a phase." I didn't say a word. But 2 weeks later, I left something on her desk that changed everything. I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this. I always figured stuff like this happened to other people who ignored red flags or didn't put in the work. But I did everything right. I gave everything I had. And I still got wrecked. My name's Mark. I'm 38 now, but this started when I was 31. I live in Aurora, Colorado. Born and raised. Nothing fancy here. Just neighborhoods, chain restaurants, parks, and strip malls. It's not flashy, but it's home. I met Monica at a friend's birthday cookout. It was one of those backyard deals. Cheap beer, folding chairs, someone's uncle on the grill. I didn't even want to go, but my buddy Kyle dragged me out. Monica showed up late. She looked stressed, like she'd run from the car to the backyard. Her little boy, Carter, was maybe 2. Chubby cheeks, wild hair, and a dirty t-shirt. He had chocolate smeared on his face and was holding on to her for dear life. She apologized to everyone for being late and then sat at a table alone, trying to get Carter to calm down. I offered her a napkin. That's all it took. She looked up, smiled like she hadn't smiled in weeks, and we started talking. She told me about her nursing classes, about Carter's dad walking out on them, about trying to make ends meet working night shifts at a grocery store. I listened. I nodded. I asked questions. She kept smiling. I didn't expect anything from it. I just thought she seemed like someone who had it rough but was still trying. I respected that. We started texting after that. Then calling. Then going on walks after I finished work. Carter came along most of the time, and he took to me real fast. He'd run to me when I showed up, climb into my lap without hesitation. That kid was starved for attention. Monica and I got serious within 6 months. I told her I wasn't a rich man. I worked at a car repair shop during the day and cleaned classrooms at a college campus at night. But I was steady. I didn't drink much, didn't cheat, didn't run. She moved in the next spring. Said she couldn't keep paying rent on her place. I said she could stay with me as long as she wanted. I meant it. That's when things got real. She confessed that she had a mountain of student debt, about $42,000. She dropped out of nursing school when her ex bailed, and it all just followed her around like a shadow. I told her I'd help. I meant that too. I picked up extra shifts. Took overtime every time it was offered. Skipped out on every vacation, every weekend plan. Sold my gaming console, cut my gym membership, started buying clothes at Goodwill again. 2 years later, that debt was gone. She cried when I showed her the final payment receipt. Said no one had ever done anything like that for her before. Said she loved me more than she ever thought she could love a man. I believed every word. We weren't legally married, but she called me her husband. Called me Carter's stepdad. That boy called me Dad sometimes when he was half asleep or scared of thunder. I didn't correct him. I was tired all the time. I mean bone deep, zombie walking, can't keep my eyes open tired. But I kept telling myself it was worth it. I had a family. That was the dream, right? Then came the night everything shattered. It was a Wednesday. My supervisor at the college gave me a rare early out. He said I'd been busting my ass and could go home a few hours early. I grabbed some gummy bears and chocolate milk from the gas station. Thought I'd surprise Carter. Maybe read him a bedtime story and crash early. I unlocked the front door and heard voices. Monica's voice. Soft. Giggling. At first I thought she was watching TV. But then I heard her say something that made my skin crawl. He's so much more of a man than my husband. I stood still. I was just past the kitchen, behind the half wall that led into the living room. I peeked around. There was a guy on the couch. Young, maybe late 20s. Hair gelled up. He was holding Carter like it was the most normal thing in the world. My Denver Broncos hoodie, my hoodie, was on his back. Monica was next to him. Her hand was on his thigh. Her head leaned into his shoulder like they were high school sweethearts. And Carter? He looked happy. Comfortable. Like he knew the guy. That's when the guy said, "He's a sweet kid. You sure this is okay?" Monica laughed. "He thinks Mark's his dad. He doesn't know any better. Mark's just a phase. A placeholder." Then Carter spotted me. Smiled. Said, "Hi, Mark." Both of them froze. Monica turned her head. Met my eyes. Didn't flinch. "You were just a phase, Mark," she said. That moment broke something in me. I didn't say anything. I didn't yell or throw anything. I just stood there. Then I turned around and walked upstairs. Closed the bedroom door. Locked it. I sat on the edge of the bed in silence. I didn't even cry. I was too numb for that. Just stared at the floor until the sun came up. Next morning I got up, went to work, and acted like nothing happened. That night, I packed a duffel bag. When I got home, I told Monica I needed space. She barely looked up from her phone. "Do what you gotta do." I moved into a cheap motel and started sleeping in my car some nights to save money. My life was shattered, but I wasn't done yet. She didn't know what kind of man I was. Not really. I spent the next 2 weeks doing one thing, planning. Not for revenge exactly. Not in the burn her house down kind of way. I wanted her to feel what it's like to lose everything, quietly. To have the rug pulled out so fast her head would spin. She played games. I played smart. During those 2 weeks away, I didn't answer her texts. She only sent a few anyway. Nothing emotional, just, "Are you coming back? What do I tell Carter? Let me know what your plan is." Like I was a roommate who'd gone out for milk and never came back. I slept in the motel 5 nights a week. The other 2, I crashed in my car behind the auto shop. I had keys to the back gate, and the owner didn't ask questions. I didn't tell anyone what had happened. Not even Kyle. I needed time to think, to clear my head. Then I started digging. Monica had no idea I still had access to everything. Her laptop, her tablet, even her email. She used the same password for everything. I hadn't logged in since before she started cheating, but it was all still wide open. I found photos. One of them was from 2 months before I caught her. She was in my favorite hoodie, the one she gave to that clown. She was taking a mirror selfie in a hotel room. The guy was behind her in bed, shirtless. I felt sick. But I didn't stop scrolling. I found emails she'd sent to her sister. Things like, "Mark's nice, but I feel stuck. He's more like a dad to me than a man. Sometimes I look at him and feel nothing. I think I just stayed for Carter's sake." She also said she'd been talking to her ex again, the one who abandoned her during pregnancy. Said he was apologetic, and maybe they could co-parent for real this time. That was when I realized something. I was the safety net. Nothing more. I was the mule carrying her through the storm. She didn't love me. She used me until she didn't need me anymore. I stopped sleeping after that. Instead, I focused. I made a list of everything I did for her. Student loan payments, daycare bills, Carter's clothes, groceries, rent, medical costs. I itemized it with dates and receipts. I had thousands of dollars logged. I made copies. Labeled every page. Then I looked into her hospital job. She was a registered nurse, sure. But on a whim, I called the HR department pretending to be someone from an outside clinic doing a reference check. I asked if she had any disciplinary history. The woman on the line hesitated. Then said, "I'm sorry, I can't release that information. But you can file a public record request with the board." So I did. Turns out, Monica had been written up twice in the last year for no-call no-shows. One of those times, I remember vividly. She told me her shift ran long, when really she went out with her sister, and left Carter home with me without a word. That's when the idea hit me. I wasn't going to just leave. I was going to flip her world upside down. First thing I did was call a lawyer. Not to sue her or anything. Just to ask how to protect myself. I explained everything. How I paid off loans, how we weren't married, how none of the accounts were in her name. The lawyer said, "As long as you didn't co-sign and there's no joint ownership, you're fine. Everything is yours." I smiled for the first time in weeks. Then I withdrew every cent from the family savings account. It was in my name. I'd put all the money there so she could pay bills when I was at work. I trusted her completely. Big mistake. There was just over $19,000 left. Gone in one click. I left her with nothing. Then I logged into our Amazon account and canceled every subscription: Prime, groceries, diapers, cleaning supplies. I deleted the auto-pay settings for utilities, electric, gas, water. Everything was still under my card. Then I filed the anonymous report with the Colorado Board of Nursing. I laid out how she'd left her son alone while going on overnight trips. I included screen recordings of the baby monitor app from nights she said she was working, time-stamped. I printed it all, sealed it in an envelope, and delivered it by hand. And then I waited. A few days later, Monica finally called me, voicemail this time. She sounded shaken. "Mark, did you shut off the accounts? The card's not working and they're saying the rent didn't clear. What's going on?" I didn't answer. Next day, another voicemail. "I just got called into HR. Someone submitted a report." "What the hell did you do?" Still didn't answer. 2 more days, then another message. "This is serious, Mark. I could lose my license. I need you to call me. Please." Then came the texts. One after the other. "Mark, I'm scared. I didn't mean for this to happen. Can we talk? Please. Don't do this to me." And then finally, "You were the best thing that ever happened to me. I was stupid. Please, for Carter's sake, don't destroy everything." I didn't reply. Because I knew something she didn't. That guy she cheated with? He wasn't just a one-night stand. I looked him up. His name's Tyler. He had a criminal record. Petty stuff, mostly. But the kicker? He had a girlfriend. A real one. They'd been together for 3 years. So I sent the girlfriend everything. Photos. Screenshots. Emails. I even sent a few voicemails from Monica's phone that she didn't know I'd saved. Nasty stuff, real trashy. 3 hours later, I got a thank you message from the girl. "You just saved me from wasting my life. Good luck to you." That's when I knew it was working. The walls were starting to close in. And I hadn't even dropped the final piece yet. About a week after I'd gone completely silent, Kyle, my best friend, texted me out of nowhere. "Dude, why is Monica asking me where you are?" I hadn't told Kyle anything yet. He knew we weren't living together anymore, but I just said I needed space and was dealing with some personal stuff. He respected that. I replied, "Ignore her. I'll explain everything soon." Then he sent another message. "She came to the shop." I froze. Kyle and I worked together at the car repair place. He handled customers at the front desk. I was mostly in the back, doing oil changes, brakes, that sort of thing. It was early morning when I read the message. I skipped breakfast and went in early, just in case she showed up again. She didn't that day. But Kyle filled me in. He said she looked like hell. Eyes puffy, hair a mess, like she hadn't slept in days. She asked if I'd been working there still? If I'd said anything about her. She kept saying it was urgent, and that she just needed to talk. I told him to keep denying he knew anything. That night, she texted me again. "You win. Is that what you wanted? To ruin my life? Then, Carter misses you. He keeps asking for you. Why are you punishing him? That one hurt. Bad. I sat in my car and read it over and over. I missed that kid. More than I could ever say. But he wasn't mine. No matter how many lunches I packed, no matter how many nightmares I soothed, no matter how many birthday candles I lit, he was never mine. She made sure of that. Still, it stung. Because I knew he didn't understand any of this. He just thought I disappeared. But I wasn't done yet. There was one more thing I had to do. A few days later, I paid a visit to Monica's mom. Now, I know how that sounds. But hear me out. Her mom, Janice, and I had always gotten along. She used to say I was the only decent man Monica had ever brought around. She didn't know everything, but she wasn't blind either. She'd raised 2 daughters alone after their dad bailed, and she'd always had this sixth sense for when people were messing up. I called her, told her I had something important to talk about, and asked to come by. She agreed right away. When I got there, she had coffee ready. I sat at her kitchen table and told her everything. Every ugly detail. I didn't cry. I didn't dramatize it. I just told her what happened. She listened in total silence. Then she said, "She told me you left her. That you were having some sort of breakdown." I handed her the same envelope I left at the hospital. The one with the receipts, the photos, the report copies. She flipped through it for 20 minutes. Then she looked at me with tears in her eyes. "I'm sorry," she said. "You didn't deserve this." I nodded. Then I left. Next day, I heard Monica got kicked out of her mom's apartment. She and Carter had moved in after she lost her job and couldn't pay rent. Now they were living in a weekly motel on Havana Street, the kind with flickering lights and loud pipes. I didn't take pleasure in that part. But I wasn't going to forget what she said. "You were just a phase." She wanted Carter to grow up thinking men were disposable. That good men get used, then tossed away. I wasn't going to let that be the story. So I made one last move. I started working with a family law attorney to file for guardianship review. Not custody. I had no legal right to Carter. But because I'd supported him financially for years, and because Monica's living situation was unstable now, the lawyer said there might be a path for me to petition for partial guardianship, or at least supervised visitation. It was a long shot. But I didn't care. I didn't want revenge anymore. I wanted to protect the one innocent person in this whole mess. And that's when I found out the biggest twist of all. While pulling records for the petition, the lawyer had run a background check on Carter's birth certificate and Monica's financials. He called me a few days later and said, "Mark, you might want to sit down." I was already sitting, but my stomach dropped. He continued, "Carter's father never signed the birth certificate. There's no legal father listed. That means Monica could have filed for child support and never did. And more importantly, if you've acted in a parental role for over 2 years, the court might see that as a de facto parent. That changes things." I sat there in shock. All this time, I thought I was nothing more than a stand-in. A warm body filling space. But legally? I was more of a father than the guy who abandoned them both. And the court might agree. It took 5 months. 5 long, bitter, expensive, emotionally brutal months. I kept working both jobs, kept my head down, kept my mouth shut. I didn't tell Monica a word. Not even when the court date got approved. Not even when the papers were officially served. She found out the same way I did, when the letter landed on her motel doorstep. The day she got served, she called me 8 times. Then she left a voicemail. Voice shaky, trying to sound composed. "Mark, what are you doing? What does this mean? You're trying to take my son away?" No. I wasn't trying. I was going to. The court hearing was on a Thursday morning. Adams County Courthouse. Small courtroom, quiet judge, tired-looking bailiff. I brought everything: receipts, photos, call logs, witness statements. My lawyer had helped me gather testimony from Carter's preschool teacher, who said she saw me more than Monica during pickup and drop-offs. Even Monica's own mother gave a written statement saying I was Carter's only real male role model and had done more for him than anyone else. Monica came in late that morning. She looked worn down, hollowed out. Her cheeks were thin, eyes baggy. She was dressed in a wrinkled blouse, like she pulled it out of a laundry basket 5 minutes before leaving. She didn't have a lawyer. I had to. The judge listened for hours. Then he looked directly at Monica and asked her, flat out, "Why didn't you list the biological father on the birth certificate?" She said, "He didn't want to be involved." The judge raised an eyebrow. "But you allowed another man to raise your son for over 4 years?" She mumbled something like, "I didn't expect it to go that far." He turned to me. "Mr. Green, what is your relationship to the child today?" I didn't use legal jargon. I just said what was real. "He's my son, Your Honor. I raised him. I fed him. I held him when he cried. I was the one who taught him how to brush his teeth. When he had a fever at 2 a.m., I was the one who drove him to urgent care." He doesn't know any other father. The judge nodded. 30 minutes later, it was over. The court granted me joint guardianship. Not full custody, but enough. Enough to get my foot in the door. Enough to give Carter stability. Enough to legally bring him back into my life, and take him out of the mess she was sinking in. Monica exploded. She called me that night, full screaming, full meltdown. "You destroyed me. You took everything. You turned my mother against me. You stole MY's son." I didn't yell back. I just said, "I was a phase, remember?" Then I hung up. But it didn't stop there. The hospital's board investigation finally wrapped up a few weeks after the court ruling. They revoked her nursing license. Turns out she'd been clocking in for fake shifts and lying on her paperwork. That, combined with the report I filed about child neglect, was enough to kill her career. She applied at every clinic in town. No one would touch her. Word spreads in the medical field. And in a town like Aurora, you don't outrun a black mark like that. She picked up part-time work at a diner off Colfax. Double shifts, minimum wage, no benefits. And she had to beg her sister to help pay for Carter's clothes and food while she tried to get her life together. Except no one was buying it anymore. Her ex? The apologetic one? She reached out to him again after the court hearing. He ghosted her. Her real man, Tyler? Long gone. And his girlfriend? Oh, she went scorched earth on him. Kicked him out, posted everything online, and made sure every friend and family member saw what he'd been up to. He messaged me once, saying I ruined his life. I didn't respond. As for Carter? He adjusted fast. The first time I picked him up from his mom's place after the court order, he ran to me, full speed, and yelled, "Dad!" I almost broke down in the parking lot. He comes with me every weekend now. I take him to the zoo, to parks, to the same cookout where I met his mom 7 years ago. He's doing good. Better than good. He smiles more. Sleeps better. Doesn't flinch when people argue around him. He's safe. And he knows it. And me? I quit the janitor job. Took a promotion at the shop. I've started saving again, this time for my future, not someone else's. I still carry the scars, though. Not just from what she did, but from what I let myself become. I let love blind me. Let duty crush me. Let a fantasy keep me from seeing the truth. But not anymore. She told me I was just a phase. Now she's stuck in hers, broke, bitter, forgotten. And me? I'm raising her son the right way. That's not revenge. That's justice.